The sun filtered through the banyan leaves, casting soft patterns on the earth beneath the tree's vast canopy. Buddha sat cross-legged in tranquil silence, radiating calm and understanding to the disciples gathered around him. A young man approached Buddha, his eyes swollen with grief, his body trembling under the weight of his sorrow. "Master," the man began, his voice cracked and unsteady, "I have lost my father. My heart is shattered and directionless." Buddha's gaze settled on the man, gentle yet piercing, his countenance offering a refuge of peace and compassion. "Life, my friend, is as fleeting as the morning dew upon a lotus leaf," Buddha spoke, voice serene. The man wept, his hands clasped in desperation. "How do I ease this pain? How do I continue without him?" Buddha stretched his hand, pointing toward a fallen leaf resting quietly on the earth near the man's feet. "Do you see this leaf? Once, it danced in the wind, clinging to the branch in vibrant life. Now it lies here, its journey through life and air complete. It has returned to the earth in peace." The young man looked at the leaf, his heart stirring with questions. "But Master, was its end so inevitable? All that is born will age, decay, and pass. This truth is not sorrowful but a part of existence," Buddha said. The disciples listened intently, their faces a canvas of various emotions stirred by Buddha's tender wisdom. Buddha continued, "Grief arises from attachment, our yearning to freeze the fleeting moments of joy into something permanent. Your father's life was a story, filled with love, moments of joy, trials, and contributions to this world," he added. "That story has now reached its conclusion, as all stories must, but its meaning lives on in you." The man cried softly, his tears now flowing not solely from grief but from the beginning of understanding. Buddha paused, allowing his words to sink into the man's mind, filling the room with the sacred stillness of thought. He then spoke again. "Imagine a river, flowing ceaselessly, each moment creating waves, currents, and ripples upon its surface. Though no moment of the river remains forever, it nourishes all that it touches during its endless course. Likewise, life touches others, creates ripples, and nourishes, even as it flows on toward its inevitable destination." The young man took a deep breath, still heavy with sorrow, but his heart now grasped the depth of Buddha's words. "But Master," he began, "how can I release this attachment when I feel as though I am losing part of myself?" Buddha regarded him kindly, gesturing toward the horizon where the sun was beginning to set in golden hues. "Do you see how the sun descends, surrendering the sky? Its departure allows the stars to shine and the moon to rise. Your father's presence has set, but in its absence, new sources of light within you will emerge." The disciples exchanged glances, their inner thoughts reflecting the profound resonance of Buddha's wisdom shared with the grieving man. One cannot extinguish the memory or love of those who have passed, but one can honor it by living with purpose. Grief is not an enemy, it is a teacher, urging us to transform loss into understanding and compassion. The young man nodded, his tears still flowing, but a gentle warmth beginning to replace the cold ache in his chest. Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as though silently acknowledging the universality of the suffering that had been shared. Then he said, "Sorrow connects us all, but it is in facing and understanding it that we grow and truly live. Remember, my friend, the teachings are like the rain. They nourish your spirit and prepare the ground for healing. Just as a seed planted must break its shell in order to grow, so must your heart open to the truth." The grove grew silent, save for the rustling leaves and the distant chirping of birds preparing for the twilight. Buddha turned toward the man, his presence embodying the infinite patience and compassion of one who understood human suffering. "Carry your father's love within you, not as a weight, but as a source of courage and wisdom, though his form is gone. The essence of his being continues through the actions and values he left behind. The young man bowed deeply before Buddha, his heart lighter, his mind eager to embrace the path ahead. The disciples collectively lowered their heads in reverence, feeling the profound simplicity of Buddha's wisdom settle in their souls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, its final rays illuminated the grove, a quiet reflection of the teachings shared. The young man sat silently beneath the banyan tree, contemplating the beginning of his journey through grief and understanding. Buddha remained in serene stillness, knowing that the seeds of wisdom had been sown into yet another fertile heart. The grove stood, timeless, a sanctuary where suffering met wisdom, and despair transformed into the possibility of peace. So ended another moment in the endless unfolding of truth. As Buddha's teachings echoed in the hearts of those present, another day, another sorrow unfolded amidst the disciples as they gathered beneath the shade of the sacred banyan tree. A woman named Sujata, her face marked by the anguish of loss, approached Buddha with trembling hands and tearful eyes. "Master," she began, her voice brittle and faint, "I have lost my child. My world has crumbled into desolation." Buddha regarded her with profound compassion, his steady gaze inviting calm where chaos had overwhelmed her heart and spirit. "Sujata," he said gently, "grief is a shadow cast by our attachments. But even shadows can lead us toward illumination." Sujata sobbed, her pain raw and unyielding, her trembling form pleading silently for guidance and solace amidst her suffering. Buddha gestured toward the bamboo swaying gracefully in the wind, its leaves rustling like whispers of nature's eternal teachings. "Do you see how the bamboo bends and sways without breaking, yielding to the forces that act upon it?" Buddha asked. "Loss, like the wind, tries to break the soul. Yet the soul must learn to bend and transform," he added. Sujata's sobs softened, though her grief still loomed large, her mind now struggling to grasp the depth of Buddha's words. Buddha continued, "The essence of life is change. Loss is not an end but a transition toward a new beginning. Imagine the ocean waves crashing upon the shore, retreating into the sea only to rise again with renewed force," he said. "The love you held for your child remains a wave in the ocean of existence, a force never truly diminished," he said. Sujata wiped her tears with shaking hands, her gaze locked on Buddha, yearning for the wisdom hidden within her pain. "Sujata, your sorrow has the power to transform," Buddha said, his voice calm yet resolute as the mountain winds through loss. "We learn the depth of compassion and the strength within us to rise beyond the grasp of despair," he added. Buddha recounted an ancient tale, his voice soft yet commanding, his words weaving a tapestry of hope and understanding. "There once was a widow who sought to bring her son back to life. Searching endlessly for a miraculous cure," Buddha began. "She visited every home, begging for aid, but found none that had not known loss or grief in some form," he continued. Through her search, she realized that suffering is universal, shared by all beings, and thus she found solace in compassion. Sujata listened intently, her tears slowing, her heart yearning to understand the profound lessons carried in Buddha's parable. "The love you gave your child does not die with their form. It lives on through your actions and intentions," Buddha said. "Offer your sorrow as an act of compassion, sharing your strength with others who suffer, and find healing through connection," he said. Sujata's face softened, her grief finding room for the possibility of healing and transformation through the wisdom of Buddha's teachings. "Do not hold your sorrow as a burden. Let it become a flame that illuminates the path for others," Buddha said. He pointed to the horizon, where the golden sun was beginning to set, casting warmth over the grove of disciples. Just as the sun retreats to allow the moon its place, so too must we embrace the cycles of change. Buddha added, the night sky is not empty. It is filled with stars that remind us of the beauty hidden in darkness, he continued. Sujata nodded, her heart trembling but now touched by the delicate understanding of sorrow's place within the tapestry of existence. You are strong, Sujata. Though loss tests you, through your strength, you will rise and offer solace to those who suffer, Buddha said. Buddha paused, allowing his words to sink into the hearts of the gathered disciples. Their faces marked with quiet contemplation. The bamboo leaves danced in the breeze, whispering the eternal wisdom of nature and echoing the teachings shared among the disciples. The life of your child, like the bamboo leaves, touched the earth briefly but left an imprint that cannot be erased, Buddha said. Carry their memory not as a weight, but as a light that guides you toward wisdom and compassion, he said. Sujata lowered herself to the ground, bowing deeply before Buddha, her tears flowing now as a release rather than a burden. The disciples mirrored her reverence, their hearts stirred by the profound truth woven into Buddha's compassionate words. Sujata rose, her face still marked by grief but now imbued with the strength of understanding and the possibility of peace. Buddha remained seated in tranquil silence, his presence embodying the infinite patience of one who embraces all suffering with compassion. Another day, another lesson had unfolded in the sanctuary of the banyan grove, where despair was met with wisdom and hope. The grove stood still, save for the swaying bamboo and the chirping birds heralding the arrival of twilight in solemn harmony. Sujata walked away, her steps heavy yet purposeful, the beginnings of a journey through grief and toward transformation forming within. Buddha gazed at the distant horizon, his silent stillness offering comfort to the hearts that sought his timeless guidance. So ended another episode in the endless unfolding of truth, as Buddha's teachings resonated in the souls of those present. Another day, another gathering formed beneath the banyan tree, the disciples arriving with hearts weighted by the uncertainty of existence. A young disciple named Ananda approached Buddha, his steps hesitant and his face clouded with questions about the nature of loss. Master, Ananda began, his voice trembling, I fear that the grief I carry will never diminish and will consume me entirely. Buddha's serene gaze rested on Ananda, his expression radiating patience and understanding born of profound wisdom and compassion. Ananda, Buddha said softly, grief is like the mist that veils the mountain. It obscures but cannot alter its fundamental nature. Ananda looked to the ground, his hands fidgeting, his heart aching for answers that would release him from his suffering. Buddha gestured toward the grove, where the sunlight filtered through the leaves and cast patterns on the earth below. Do you see how the light weaves through the darkness, illuminating even the deepest shadows? Buddha asked gently. Ananda nodded, his sorrow momentarily stilled by the beauty and simplicity of the natural harmony surrounding him. Grief, too, has its purpose. It deepens our understanding and strengthens the foundation upon which compassion and wisdom grow. Buddha said. He continued, when you feel overwhelmed, remember that the teachings are eternal, a flame that cannot be extinguished by sorrow. Ananda's breath steadied, his mind grasping the thread of clarity woven into Buddha's measured and deliberate words. Buddha then shared a story from his own journey, his voice weaving a tapestry of understanding and universal truth. When I lost my father, I too felt the sting of loss and the ache of absence that followed his passing, Buddha said. But I sought solace not in denying my pain, but in embracing it as a part of existence. Like the changing seasons, the love you carry for those who have passed is not gone. It burns brightly, guiding your path forward, Buddha added. Ananda's eyes glistened with tears, his sorrow not diminished but transformed by the recognition of its deeper meaning. Buddha continued, Imagine a candle lighting another. The flame spreads, offering light and warmth without diminishing its own strength. The Dharma is such a flame, offering guidance and solace even in moments of darkness and despair, Buddha said. Ananda listened intently, his heart now open to the possibility of finding peace within the swirling currents of sorrow. Do not fear your grief, Ananda. It is a teacher, revealing the truth of impermanence and the essence of compassion, Buddha said. The disciples sat silently, their thoughts consumed by the profound wisdom unfolding like ripples in a still and sacred pond. Buddha paused, his gaze fixed on the horizon, where the golden light of the sun touched the distant mountain peaks. The mountains endure even as the seasons change. Loss and renewal are merely currents within the greater stream of life, Buddha said. Ananda asked softly, Master, how can I honor those I have lost when their absence leaves an emptiness within my soul? Buddha smiled gently, his expression reflecting the infinite patience that carried his message across the boundaries of suffering. Honor them by living wisely and with compassion, carrying their values forward as part of the ripple they created in the world, Buddha said. Ananda bowed his head, his tears flowing freely, now touched by the transformative power of Buddha's compassionate words. The life you mourn remains eternal in its influence, shaping the lives it touched and the lessons it left behind, Buddha said. He continued, let your grief inspire you to act selflessly, sharing the light of wisdom with others who wander in the shadow of despair. Ananda's heart softened, his sorrow finding room for solace and understanding as Buddha's teachings resonated deeply within. The disciples remained silent, their collective reverence amplifying the stillness of the grove, where nature held its eternal peace. Buddha gestured toward the sky, now scattered with stars emerging in the twilight and offering light amid the growing darkness. Do you see the stars, Ananda? Even in darkness, they guide travelers and offer beauty to those who look up, Buddha said. The teachings are your stars, illuminating the path and reminding you that light remains even when loss envelopes your heart. Buddha added. Ananda whispered softly, thank you, Master. Your words bring light to the darkest corners of my sorrow and renew my strength. Buddha placed his hand upon Ananda's shoulder, his touch light but carrying the weight of infinite compassion and understanding. Carry your sorrow as a source of strength, not as a burden. Let it transform your actions and your purpose, Buddha said. The grove fell silent once more, save for the rustling leaves and the quiet murmurs of distant creatures preparing for night. Ananda bowed deeply, his heart now lighter, ready to embrace the journey ahead with newfound resolve and understanding. The disciples lowered their heads in reverence, their spirits lifted by the profound simplicity of Buddha's timeless wisdom. Buddha remained in tranquil stillness, his presence offering comfort and guidance to those gathered beneath the sacred banyan tree. Another day, another truth unfolded beneath the banyan, where sorrow met the eternal flame of Dharma and transformed into peace. The grove stood timeless, a sanctuary where grief became wisdom, despair became hope, and darkness gave way to light. Ananda walked away, his steps steady and purposeful, his journey toward healing guided by the teachings imprinted upon his heart. So ended another episode in the endless unfolding of truth, as Buddha's compassion illuminated the souls of his disciples. It arises from understanding yourself and the nature of your mind. But Blessed One, Ananda asked hesitantly, how can I release the fears that weigh heavily upon my heart each day? The Buddha raised his hand, pointing to the sky above. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.